This is so helpful to know going into postpartum because this basically gives you a roadmap to helping you get your needs met. So you don't feel like I need something, but I don't really know what it is that I need. When you have this like clear understanding, you can create a customized plan with your partner that's like, boom, boom, boom. We have a plan for each one of these things to help you in making sure you get your needs met. Kimberly Ann Johnson is the person I learned it from. She basically studied the way that different traditions around the world and different cultures addressed postpartum after a baby was born. And what's really cool about this is that if you look at these ancient traditions from like the opposite sides of the planet, they all followed the same 5 principles. So that's why it's called the 5 universal needs. So it's a recognition that in many different cultures all around the world, everyone figured out that women after they give birth need these same 5 things. The first is warmth. So that means you need to keep your body warm, obviously. And some ways that you can do this is to avoid like walking around your house barefoot if you just have a lot of socks. Some people even like scarf hat socks. They like really take it seriously. I'll speak from Ayurvedic perspective because I learned a little bit about that one. After you have the baby, there's this heater that's in your body and now the heater is gone. So there's this open space inside of your body that allows for cold or wind energy to set in, and that can lead to digestive issues and it can lead to insomnia and anxiety. It's an imbalance in the body. So also, after you have a baby, your body's going through this really massive transition. You're having an organ realignment process, a fluid recalibration, a hormonal recalibration, structural shifts in the brain. There's just so much that's happening. When the body is also struggling with cold, it has to expend energy to warm. And there's already so much energy going to all these different places in the body. So you keeping your body warm is going to support your circulation, which will support healing and will protect you from illness and imbalance. So staying warm is really important. It's really common to like sweat, and that's part of the fluid recalibration and the hormonal recalibration. So your body is clearing out all these excess hormones and also clearing out all this fluid because your blood volume increased by 50%. And so it has to process through the body through sweating. So you'll just get these hot flashes probably after you have your baby where you just feel all of a sudden really hot and get super sweaty. And that's normal. It's just part of the hormones shifting. It feels like you're in menopause maybe. You're just like these like hot flashes. And it typically like gets better and kind of balances out within a few weeks. But in the beginning, it can be a little more intense. So we change our sheets often because of my sweat and then baby spit up and then, just constantly changing, changing sheets. The second is loving touch. Touch is really beneficial because it can be supportive for you processing all those things through your body, processing the fluid and also hormones. Also, when you're receiving touch, your body releases oxytocin, and you releasing oxytocin is directly supportive to the hormonal recalibration that is happening, to bonding with your baby, and to producing breast milk. So when my husband learned this, he was like, okay, that's my job. My job is to help you release oxytocin, because the more oxytocin you're releasing, the better your postpartum recovery will be. It has a direct biological benefit. Me giving you kisses and cuddles and love and reducing stress as much as possible. You experiencing stress, just like in labor, it blocks oxytocin, and that can make your recovery, it can impact your recovery negatively. So I recommend having some body work lined up if you can. You can have your man rub your feet and touch you and cuddle you, but also getting some body work can be really beneficial because there's a really big physical shift that's happening. And sometimes if there's a little bit of an imbalance in the pelvic floor and like musculature in different parts around the pelvis, sometimes when things kind of come back together, you can feel a little discomfort or imbalance or pain. The next is connection with wise women. I remember having all of my needs met, like the food and the warmth and, everything you can think of, the support. And I was like, there's still something missing. I really felt like there was a day I just felt like I'm not getting something and I didn't know what it was. And then my midwife came over and spent some time with me and I was like, oh, that's what I needed. Yeah, it's like husband can't give me that, like you're great, but like you're not going to give me, I need like just to connect with someone who has, done this before and has like the wisdom and tools. So I don't feel like I'm alone in it. And then the next is food, but not just regular food, warm, nourishing food that's, good for your body. So if you could first, actually, I'm going to go to the side and just kind of illustrate food a little bit of some things to avoid and some things to incorporate. I'm going to write CF because I'm not writing cruciferous vegetables. Yeah, but cold foods also. Avoid cold foods and cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. That can cause gassiness, and that can sometimes lead to gassiness in your baby unless you tolerate those things really well. Typically, we're a little more sensitive after we have a baby, so I think it's a good rule of thumb to just kind of avoid. Also avoiding anything cold or raw, unless it's easy to digest. But there are some raw, like carrot sticks, like shredded beets, like that might take a little more work for your body to process. Eating a salad might be okay. I wouldn't be too worried about a salad unless it had like a lot of raw carrot sticks. Lettuce itself is a lot more, we can digest it a lot easier, but like raw apples and raw carrots, raw beets, those kinds of things take a little more work to digest. Yeah, cooked apples are really nice. Yeah. And I mean, you can eat an apple and see, but some people just feel like they can feel that it takes more energy, or they can feel the cold of that food coming in. So just kind of sticking with warm foods is good. Also, if you could avoid like beans or lentils, those kinds of things can cause gassiness, and any little bit of gassiness in you will probably impact your baby. It just makes it hard for them to sleep, and they're fussy, and then you're not sleeping as much. So you can just avoid all that by taking really good care of your belly and avoiding those things. First, I would incorporate some drinks every day that have herbs that are really supportive to your hormones. It's raspberry leaf, dandelion, nettle. Those herbs can be really supportive to the liver, as the liver's processing old hormones, and they're also nutritive, so they have a lot of benefits. So I would drink those teas every day. Brew the tea in coconut milk. That's organic. It's super yummy, and add a little bit of sweet to it, like a little maple syrup, and a whole can of organic coconut milk. It's like really full of fat. Can be really good for you. Good healthy fats from grass-fed animals. And then of course, like bone broth. And you could just make your own really easily. If you could drink every day like a quart of bone broth and a couple mugs of tea, you're giving yourself a lot of easy to assimilate nutrition and also warmth. The one specific drink that I would invite everyone to have, red date tea. Chinese medicine and the traditions for supporting postpartum. It's with the specific red dates, and you could also add goji berries to it and let it simmer, and it's so sweet and delicious. I love it. It's really good for replenishing your blood. And then also just for supplements, it's good to keep taking your prenatal supplement and add in maybe some beef liver. Connection with nature. This is something that's often overlooked, but it's really important to have some kind of connection with nature, because you're, in a really, really gentle phase in this portal where you're processing your birth and integrating your new role with baby. So it's a time to be really tender around our consciousness. I wouldn't like watch a horror movie or, like the news. Like there's some times in life where we need to turn those things off and just connect to nature, because nature helps us remember that everything is really simple. It's really calming to the nervous system. So that could mean like you're sitting outside a little bit with baby. I would invite you to like get plants in your house if you can, or just one plant in your room. If you are set up somewhere that has a nice window, that'd be really ideal. Create a space that feels really beautiful, for you and your baby, that you can feel like, I feel like at peace in here, and it's not like a stressful environment. I think it's like warm and food are part of the same one, is the way she teaches it. And then this is extended rest. I always lean more towards more rest than less rest. We need so much rest after we have a baby. I heard a story of a mom on a podcast, on the Evidence-Based Birth podcast, who was a nurse, or she was in nursing school, and they told her she couldn't miss a clinical rotation even though she was going to have a baby. So she had to get an induction on, Monday, and have the baby like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then go in on Friday for her clinical rotation. She had a postpartum hemorrhage in school and almost died. So it's really important that we're resting for all of those reasons that I kind of illustrated before. It's supportive to your pelvic floor too. And I think that's why a lot of people just are like, yeah, I just pee myself whenever I jump on the trampoline now because I had a baby. But it's probably because you didn't give yourself an opportunity to rest and support your pelvic floor in that regeneration process that it really needs. So if you could stay in bed for 2 weeks is great. what if you wanted to do more, you know? And the 5 universal needs, looking at the different cultures around the world, 40 days is the average for staying in bed. So I did 5 weeks with my third, and it was really nice, like 5 full weeks in my bed. And with my second, I did 3. And with my first, I did 1, and each time I was like, I needed actually more rest than that. Maybe a tip that you could use if you want to try this. This is like a good standard for how you want to use your energy. If you start to feel like it would really recharge me to get up and move around a little bit, then I would get up and move. For me, I had this problem with the first and second where I was like, I'll stay in bed for like the absolute minimum that I want to, instead of like allowing myself to have a little bit more flexibility. Because if someone asked me, like, if there was no like time limit, if you could just have all the sport that you would want, how long would you want to stay in bed? I would have said like, oh, I would want to be in there for 40 days probably. And I just didn't give myself that. And this is the only opportunity you have to give yourself this for this postpartum. And I really believe postpartum can be one of the most beautiful experiences of your life if you have the right support and you are, willing to slow down and not have to deal with like trying to do too much at the same time. So